be.
Okay, so we're gonna be checking out information about a possible Hulk Hulk centric movie, which we never thought we would get. Even Mark Ruffalo always said in interviews multiple times, he said, Mark Ruffalo said, because the interviewers would always ask him this, hey, when are we going to get a Hulk movie where it's just you? And he's like, listen, I want this more than anyone. I want to have my own Hulk movie, just like Edward Norton had his own Hulk movie. But it's never going to happen. And he always said this. He's like, it's never going to happen. There's never going to be a Hulk by himself movie because of the way the rights are set up, because of the way the copyrights are set up. They can only use my character in the MCU with other characters. They can't have me have my own movie for whatever reason. It's like really complex and stupid and bureaucratic, overly complicated bureaucratic bullshit, as always, with everything in the government. But anyways, so let's jump into it, and we'll just pause it and discuss it as we go.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to The Cosmic Wonder. I am your host, Warren Thompson. This is my cat, Rocket Raccoon, who, yes, is hiding under a box of lightsabers. Today we have some really, really big news, as it's been reported that a solo Hulk film is happening in the MCU. It's already in pre-production and going to be starting very, very soon. And not just any Hulk film, a World War Hulk film, which I know a lot of fans are really, really excited to see. And I know what some of you may be thinking. How exactly is Marvel Studios going to do a solo Hulk film when Universal supposedly has the rights to solo Hulk films? Well, I'm going to explain everything you need to know about what is happening with this project in this video, including what we know the plot to be. Because, as we know, Marvel Studios just doesn't take comic stories, put them into movie form, and that's that. Of course, they always change them. So, lots to talk about in this video, and be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the MCU. And also, we are giving away a really cool Spider-Man action figure to one of our subscribers. The giveaway ends at the end of this month. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is subscribe to my channel and subscribe to my other channel that Chris runs, Cosmic Culture. We'll put the link in the description and in the pinned comments down below. Now, World War Hulk is something that I don't think fans thought we were going to be getting anytime soon. But yesterday, the GWW.com reported World War Hulk film slated to begin production in 2022. And before we go any further, let's dive into their initial report, which says, buckle up Hulk fans, She-Hulk isn't the only Hulk-related content coming in the next few years. The GWW has learned that a Hulk movie is on the way, and it's currently being called World War Hulk. Yes, we are finally having a new solo Hulk film in active development.
So I forgot, there's a She-Hulk TV series coming on Disney Plus. So there's going to be a She-Hulk TV series, and She-Hulk, for those who don't know, is Bruce's cousin. Jessica gets in the same type of accident and becomes a woman version of the Hulk.
We were told it's currently slated to start production in late 2022, likely following the events of the upcoming She-Hulk series on Disney+. Now, they go on to say that this is coming from one of their personal sources who has been right about many things in the past, and I can attest to this as well because we've seen reports from the GWW come true. So there is big credibility here. Now, it also isn't that big of a surprise if you consider the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings post-credit scene. I won't mention what was in it, but if you've seen it, you know. Not to mention, Mark Ruffalo is confirmed to be returning as the Hulk in She-Hulk. There is clearly a lot more story to tell, again, especially if you consider the Shang-Chi post-credit scene. Now, in the comics, Bruce Banner is cousins with Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk. He is actually the reason why she becomes She-Hulk. She gets in a devastating accident, and Bruce Banner has a blood transfusion with his cousin, which ends up saving her life, but he ends up transferring some of that gamma radiation over whatever the heck is in his blood, and she ends up becoming She-Hulk. So it looks like we're definitely going to be seeing some type of iteration of that story, and if we think about it, Mark Ruffalo has recently talked about how he has a lot of ideas left for the Hulk. And if we think about one of the most insanely cool Hulk stories there is,
you know, I'm just thinking, it's like, how fucked up is it? How fucked up is it that the only woman on Earth equipped to handle the Hulk is his cousin? Oh.
World War Hulk. It's an insanely cool storyline, but let's talk about the rights to the Hulk and how Marvel Studios is able to make a solo Hulk film when, for the longest time, Universal owned the rights to do a solo Hulk film. This is why the Hulk had to appear in other films with other heroes like Thor Ragnarok. It was really a Thor/Hulk film. However, in 2020, there were reports going around that Universal and Marvel Studios had reached an agreement, and the rights to the Hulk solo film properties have gone back to Marvel Studios. The report actually said that the rights to the Hulk and Namor, which Universal also owned, went back to Marvel Studios. Now, recently, it's been pretty much confirmed that Tenoch Huerta has been cast to play Namor in Black Panther 2: Wakanda Forever. And although Marvel Studios hasn't come out and said it yet, it's pretty much been confirmed by some major trades and insiders. So, if the rights to Namor have went back, then we could probably assume that the rights to the Hulk are back as well, since they're both coming from the same place. The Hulk is a huge character to Marvel Studios, so it would make sense that they would kind of do whatever it would take to get the rights to a Hulk solo film back so they can proceed.
The Hulk huge?
And it looks like they have done so, and it looks like the story that they're going to go with is the World War Hulk story, which is very, very interesting because this story has connections to the Illuminati in Marvel Comics. And the Illuminati is reportedly appearing in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, here's what you need to know about World War Hulk and the events leading up to it, the storyline known as Planet Hulk. Both involve the Illuminati. Now, what happens in Planet Hulk is a gamma bomb causes the Hulk to lose control and attack Las Vegas. And the Illuminati get together and they decide that the Hulk is too dangerous and they need to take him off Earth. So they trick him. They tell him that they're going to send him into Earth's.
Okay, I know this story. I mean, of course I know this story. But this is originally what... It's funny because this is originally what Thor Ragnarok was supposed to be. This story, when at the end of Age of Ultron, when Hulk left, that was supposed to set up World War Hulk. But they couldn't do it. They couldn't do a solo Hulk film because of the rights. So then they kind of amalgamized a butchered version, condensed into a Thor movie of Hulk being a champion off-world, and that's part. That whole thing on Sakaar was a small part of a small little subsection of what was originally part of the World War Hulk storyline. The only difference is eventually Hulk takes over the whole planet, and that's why it's called... Wait, maybe I'm thinking of something different. Maybe I'm thinking of Planet Hulk. But I could have swore Planet Hulk is part of the World War Hulk storyline. But anyways, this...
rogue satellite. However, once he's in orbit, they shoot him off into space. Now, originally, they planned to send him to a peaceful planet, but the ship actually ends up going through a wormhole. He ends up landing on the planet Sakaar, which is kind of what we saw in Thor Ragnarok. In fact, that part on Sakaar of Thor Ragnarok was based off of the Planet Hulk storyline. The Hulk actually gets an obedience disc, which we saw in Thor Ragnarok, and the Red King forces him to be a gladiator.
So I was right.
Now, eventually, what would happen is that the Silver Surfer would end up up freeing all of the gladiators from their obedience discs. And eventually, the Hulk kills the Red King with the help of his former lieutenant Kyera. The Hulk would end up becoming the king of Sakaar, and he would end up marrying the lieutenant Kyera, and she ends up becoming pregnant with their child. However, unfortunately, the ship that the Illuminati sent Hulk into space in ends up blowing up and kills Kyera and the Hulk's child. From there, the Hulk and his Warbound leave Sakaar and they go to Earth, and from there we get the World War Hulk storyline. Now, once he gets to Earth, it's absolutely insane. He goes through like all of the heroes. He defeats Black Bolt, he defeats Iron Man and destroys Stark Tower. He goes to the home of the X-Men and defeats many of them, and he even fights the Juggernaut. He would go on to fight the New Avengers, the Mighty Avengers, the Fantastic Four, Black Panther, Storm, Ghost Rider, and he would defeat all of them, and then he would put obedience discs on them. He even goes on to fight Doctor Strange, in which Doctor Strange had fused with the Demon Zom just to take on the Hulk, but the Hulk beats him. He even defeats the US Army in Thunderbolt Ross. Now he takes all of the people prisoners and he takes over Madison Square Garden, and he turns this into a gladiator arena with the plan of forcing all of the people to fight each other to the death. Now eventually the Hulk and Sentry would fight, and they level the entire city. They fight till they're both passed out. While the Hulk is now in Bruce Banner form, Meek informs the Hulk that he actually let the explosion happen because he wanted the Hulk to continue to destroy everything. This causes him to go into extreme rage, and he's radiating energy that threatens to destroy Earth. So he tells Tony...
Dude, if they actually follow this storyline where they have Hulk go bad and defeat all of the other heroes that we know on Earth and enslave them, this will be like cinematically more badass than pretty much like this. Anyways, just really badass. Like, I'm thinking like Injustice or like Superman Red Son, or speaking of Superboy Prime, Superboy Prime. If you don't know who Superboy Prime is a version of Clark Kent who lives in a different universe where superheroes are not real, right? So he lives like, let's say this universe, because superheroes and superpowers are not real in this universe. But let's say one of us was the Clark Kent, or the person that was supposed to be Superman in this universe where superheroes and superpowers do not exist. Or Superboy Prime or Superman Prime, he goes by both names. He's been called both names. Something happens, like a comet in space or something goes by, and like some sort of cosmic thing aligns or whatever. Some sort of cosmic shift aligns because of a comet going by that grants him his Kryptonian powers, and he becomes aware of all the other universes, and then he doesn't like what the DC Comics writers are doing to his character. So you know what he does? He flies to the DC Comics office and murders all the writers. And this actually happened in the comics. I'm not making it up. But when you think about what's going on in today, like with what they're doing with the characters and the stories, that's pretty funny. But let's jump into it.
Satellite weapon that leaves him unconscious and in his Bruce Banner form, in which then S.H.I.E.L.D. takes him to prison. So as you can see, this is an incredible story, and I do not do it justice because it actually is quite long, and I'm just giving you a rundown. I suggest checking out both of these stories, Planet Hulk and World War Hulk. But like I said in the beginning, we know that Marvel does not just adapt the comics story for story. But can you imagine if in a World War Hulk movie he fought all of the heroes and defeated them and basically made them his puppets? This is the Hulk that everybody has been waiting for. We don't want the smart Hulk, Professor Hulk, whatever you want to call it. We want a Hulk who is just absolutely insane and filled with rage. And it's looking like we are going to be getting some type of that storyline. The cool thing about World War Hulk is that he has so much gamma radiation in him, he's a really, really strong Hulk. And there's definitely lots of ways that they could take this in the MCU. They can even say that all of the energy from snapping could have caused the Hulk to maybe get stronger. Perhaps that's how his arm actually ends up healing. Yes, it damaged him at first, but maybe over time, it affects him in a rather good way until eventually he loses control. Either way, I am definitely here for whatever iteration of a World War Hulk story that they want to tell. But let me know how you think that this story should go in the MCU in the comments down below.
Okay, so that sounds really cool. If they really follow that storyline, they don't change too much stuff, because like in the Infinity War storyline with the whole snap and everything, they followed it somewhat, but in the comics it was way more brutal how all the other heroes died. In the movie they all died by turning to like ash, and it wasn't brutal, but in the comics it was brutal how everyone died. It was way more impactful that way, because you're like, what? Oh my gosh. When in the movie everyone turns to dust, and you're still kind of like, what the fuck? But at the same time, damn it, I just said the F word. If you cuss, you get demonetized. It doesn't matter anyways, because I'm not a big enough channel to get monetized anyways. So let's not worry about it. But, oh shit. What I was saying about Superboy Prime is, like, if you ever saw that Will Ferrell movie where he's like his life is written by some author, and he becomes like self-aware that his life is being written by an author. That's kind of the situation that happened with Superboy Prime. Anyways, thanks for watching the video if you watched this far, and I'll talk to you in the next video.